This is Leadership Plus. I'm Dave Edwards. I don't know how old you are, but if you are sort of in my generation, you might remember growing up watching the Ed Sullivan Show, a variety show that was on CBS on Sunday nights throughout much of the 1960s. And it was a variety show, so you might have a singer followed by a comedian. But one of the frequent guests that Ed Sullivan would bring onto his show was this guy who, it's pretty hard to describe, but he would spin plates. He would set up these long poles on a table, and then on the top of each one of these poles, he would put a plate, and he would spin the plate, and the plate would kind of spin. And then he'd set up another one right next to it, and he'd get that plate spinning. And then he'd set up another one next to that, and he'd get that one spinning. And he'd have like 4, 5, 6 of these all spinning at once. But the excitement was that just about the time he'd get the last one spinning, the first one would kind of stop spinning and it would kind of wobble. And the idea was he had to keep all the plates spinning at the same time. And there was a lot of tension building upon, would he be able to do all that? Managing multiple projects is really tricky if you want to keep them all spinning. You know, we only have 24 hours in every day to do it, but the projects keep coming at us. If you want to be a master of keeping all those plates spinning, you have to have a strategy. The guy with the plates certainly did. I'm not sure what it was other than moving fast. And as managers, we have to move fast. So what is your strategy? Do you at least have a list of all of the projects that you are responsible for? Does your project list include details of the project, what they mean, what you need to do, and who needs to be involved, and the deadline? I keep such a list in Evernote, but you can do it on a piece of paper if you prefer. You just need a list. So let's say I decide that we need to launch a new advertising campaign. That's the project. That's the project name. But there's so many different steps that roll into the project. First of all, I might need to talk to my business manager to find out how much money I have for a project like that. I would need to involve my creative team to begin designing an advertising campaign, which of course then I would need to approve. And then I would need to work with a media buyer to place those ads. Those tasks need to be on my to-do list, otherwise they will fall through the cracks. One of the things that I've learned over time is how important it is to learn to delegate. You just can't do everything yourself. And quite frankly, you are probably not an expert in doing everything. Take, for example, my issue or my idea of starting an advertising campaign. Well, I may know it's really important for my organization to do that, but I'm not a very creative person. I need to involve the creative people on my staff to make that project work. I'll need to involve media buyers because I don't know how to buy ads on radio, TV, or how to buy billboards. They are the experts in that. So I need to learn to delegate and trust people. Now, in some cases, somebody on my staff that I want to delegate a project to isn't any more familiar with it than I am. In that case, maybe I need to train them or I need to get them training on how to do that type of work. Now, you might say that takes a lot of time and maybe even some resources, and it does. But on the other hand, if that person becomes knowledgeable about a specific idea or skill, they will be even more valuable to your organization the next time a project like that has to be done. It's also really important to keep track of the items and projects that you have delegated to other people. Otherwise, you're going to forget. Obviously, the person has to understand the expectations that you have for the project, the parameters of the project, and the deadline for the project. But you need to keep track of that as well. I tend to keep a list for every person that I manage. They're sort of like a loose agenda. So the next time I see them and meet with them for a status meeting, I just bring that document out and I know all the things that we have to talk about. And those delegated projects would be a really important element of that conversation. So I will make sure for each person that reports to me, I have a list of those projects. And then when we meet, let's say you and I are meeting, I will ask you for an update on that project. When you give it to me, I'll make a note. I'll put it into that file as well. That way, I not only remember that I've delegated the project to you, but if I begin to forget, I can go back and I can remind myself of what you told me about the project and the way it's going. The final point I want to make is that you cannot do everything at once. You have to make decisions as to, which plate to keep spinning and which plate needs your attention the most, or which project needs your attention the most. So you might have to decide, okay, this month I have 2 major projects. That's pretty much what I can handle. Now, smaller projects, well, I can add them to my list, but I probably cannot take on 3 big projects this month. So maybe if another big project comes up, I might have to postpone it or one of the other ones to the next month. If I am assigned a multi-layered and difficult project, I know that it might take me a solid week of working on the item. I then need to block out time on my calendar to work on it. If I have 2 major projects that I need to be done right away, I know I can't take on another. So if I'm approached with a 3rd project, I have to schedule it for the next month. So let's say it's your boss that comes to you with a 3rd really big project and says, hey Dave, you got to get this done right away. Well, you know intuitively that you're not going to get all 3 major projects done in the course of this month. There's just not enough time given all of the other responsibilities that you have. That is the time when you need to have a heart-to-heart discussion with your boss. Be respectful, but you can say something like, well, boss, I'm working on this, and now you want me to do this. That's fine. I'll devote all of my power and time to getting those things done. But if I have to choose, is there one of these projects most important to you? Because I really want to make sure that one gets done. Have that honest conversation, because sometimes your boss may not even be aware of the caliber of projects that you are working on. That's today's Leadership Plus. I'm Dave Edwards. Thanks very much for joining us. Do me a favor, hit that like button below, subscribe to these videos, and if you'd like to learn more about leadership, management, and productivity issues, check out my blog at my website, daveedwardsmedia.com. Are you managing a team but really want to lead your team? Hi, this is Dave Edwards. Discover the difference with my book, Be a Leader, Not Just a Manager. Leaders inspire, innovate, and challenge the status quo. They're agile and ready to protect their business and employees in every situation. I share my 4 decades of experience, insights, and current research to help you evolve from managing to leading. Learn to develop your leadership skills, build high-performance teams, and navigate today's work environments. My book is packed with practical advice. It's perfect for new leaders and seasoned professionals needing a skills refresh. Don't just manage, lead. Get your copy of Be a Leader, Not Just a Manager. Find out more at daveedwardsmedia.com and click on Books.